You know, I'm in a deep blue area up in the Northwest. I'm in a very deep blue area. And I want to tell you a little story. You know, yesterday I sold an exercise bike. I have this older exercise bike. It was like this Life Cycle fitness bike. And I used it while I was rehabbing from an injury, just to be able to sit in the house and ride the bike. This isn't a Peloton, folks. I'm not rich. You know, it's one of the ones that has the battery in it. You pedal it, it turns on, you stop pedaling, it turns right off. It's a good Life Cycle, right? Home edition, not the gym. It doesn't plug in. But guys, I sold it. I needed to get $150. I'm trying to, just like you, make the money, put the money away, do the best I can. I've got some legal stuff. I'm in court for a few things, nothing criminal, just civil stuff that we're working out. I've got all kinds of stuff going on, and I have to be careful with money. Not to mention I've got kids, right? Not to mention I have a wife. Not to mention I'm going to school full time. So I have expenses just like you, buying groceries, the price of groceries skyrocketing, the price of gas skyrocketing. I needed the money. And the guy who ended up coming to buy this bike from me ended up being an Army chaplain. Really nice guy. I'm not going to mention his name. I'm not going to let anybody know who he is because he could probably get in trouble for coming out in public with what he told me. So we're not going to do that to him. I want to mention one thing, though. He looked just like Gary Sinise, just like Gary Sinise. And those of you who know me and have been listening to the show, you know that I've got stomach surgery coming up in January. You know that I've got some back issues, so I'm having trouble lifting right now. I haven't been able to get to the gym in a year. Trust me, once I get healthy and my back's rehabbed and my stomach surgery's done, I'll be in much, much better shape. But it takes time. It comes with time. But this guy, he had broke his back 20 years ago, all right? And so we're both trying to carry this heavy thing down the stairs. And I have my L3 is my spinal cord, right? It's being pinched by my L3 disc in my back. And so I get nerve problems sometimes. And it was just hilarious, just trying not to fall down the stairs. All of us trying not to fall down the stairs, talking about how horrible the left is, screaming about Marxism, screaming about critical race theory, screaming about who the government is pointing the finger at as terrorists, who extremists actually are in this country, groups on the left. We talked all about it. And when we got everything loaded up into his trailer and he gave me the money, I gave him a business card for American Reveille, and he revealed something to me. He told me that he was ordered, all right, still in the military, ordered to teach a class on extremism. And this class was geared towards conservatives. That's right. Now, they didn't let you know, right? This class, he had to sit there and talk about scenarios. If you're in the military, you know we have these training sessions and they talk about scenario situations. What would you do if you were in this situation? How would you do if you were in this situation? Where would this lead? And it's all to lead you into your own conclusions. That's how a lot of the training is. They want you to come to these conclusions. And he was telling me, all right, that the conclusions were geared towards you thinking that white people and anybody on the right, all right, people on the right, they were extremists. This is to program young people in the military. He asked the organizers, the folks that the Army hired to bring this training to the base, he asked them for a list of extremist organizations. Hey, if you're teaching this, right? He said to me, if they're teaching this, why can't you provide a list, right? I want to see who these extremist organizations are because I'm teaching this class and I want to know that I'm teaching the right stuff. And you know what they told him? They said, we can't give you a list because our bosses are worried that the soldiers will look into the groups on the list and find stuff out about them. That's right. So we can only suspect that that means that they'll look up the groups on the list and realize that there aren't racists running around. There aren't a bunch of white people pretending to be Nazis running around. Maybe pretending to be Nazis, like those folks that showed up at Glenn Youngkin's rally, the Lincoln Project folks that Terry McAuliffe's in cahoots with. But no, real Nazis are not here. Real KKK members, onesie-twosies exist, but they're idiots. Nobody cares about them. That stuff's gone. This really isn't a racist country. It really, really isn't. It isn't. But they wouldn't give a list. So it goes to show the truth. What they're trying to do. Subliminally programming our soldiers to become good little Marxists. CRT people and woke people They both share a common thread. They both want to label conservatives. They want to label everybody on the right, Trump and everybody else, as extremists. All right? But there's a little something that you may not know that I do. I've got a secret. Well, it's not really a secret. It's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious that when you look down deep, CRT people, critical race theory folks, though they use the same tenets as a lot of the woke stuff, the woke crowd and the CRT crowd, they're like oil and water. They don't mix, folks. They don't mix. I'd say pineapple on pizza, but I like pineapple on pizza. So you can kiss my butt if you don't. If you don't, look, I respect it. But leave me and my choices alone. I can't even eat pizza till after I get my stomach surgery, all right? I can't digest that type of food, but some pizza sounds good right now. I'm going to eat a big dinner after I'm done doing this episode. I'm telling you, my wife's out there. I can smell it right now. I've got an awesome wife. She's from the Philippines, and she makes authentic Philippine food. She's making pork and vegetables with some glass noodles, some homemade stir fry with noodles. All right. Yum, yum, yum. I can smell the ginger. I can smell the garlic. It's making me hungry, and I bet describing it's making you hungry. But we're going to have to wait to eat. See, we're going to have to feast on reality. We're going to have to be hungry for the truth. That's right. Hungry for the truth, folks, because some things just don't mix. Segment 5, some things just don't mix. All right. CRT, the woke, and the real Black community. That's right. Not these privileged folks pretending to be part of the Black community, the actual Black community. All right. They don't. The CRT, the woke folks, they work together because they have a common goal of disrupting and destroying the right. But at the end of the day, they have different core values. They're both neo-Marxist groups. They're both there to destroy, but they both have different objectives. All right. One wants to make this world, this genderless world, this world where 5-year-old boys could be with 46-year-old women who identify as 5-year-old women. I mean, it's insanity. It's this crazy world. And the CRT people, right? The critical race theory people want to separate folks into groups. It's the same thing that the left is doing with the woke as well, just differently. They want to separate everybody into groups and make oppressors and oppressees. They want to label all white people as evil, and they want to say that they have oppressed all minorities, and minorities should be given special privileges and advantages, even though they actually have certain privileges and advantages that the majority of white people don't have, because the majority of white people are just as screwed, just as broke, just as hungry, just as horny, just as everything else as their fellow black, brown, yellow, purple, whatever person. All right. We are humans. We are Americans. We are all cut from the same cloth. But you know what we're not cut from? We're not cut from the CRT cloth, the woke cloth. That is an infestation. That is an abomination. That is literally a tumor that needs to be cut out of this country. All right. Blacks, whites, minorities of all kind, everybody can work together on our core values and common goals. But those folks, the woke folks, the CRT folks, the elites, the leftist elites, for the love of God, they don't share our core values. That's why I've talked about peaceful divorce before, because I don't know how we come back from this unless we find a way to unite the actual Americans. It's a mixing pot. They teach this stuff in schools. They teach CRT. They teach woke ideologies. They teach opinions of teachers and groups. They mix it all together. So you have no idea. You don't know your butt from your elbow. You don't know what you're talking about. You can't argue with them. It's called being gaslighted. You get made to be crazy. You get told all these crazy things. They look like they're doing the right thing when they're actually not, and everybody believes them. But now it's too late. Now people are waking up. Now people see what's happening to their kids. All right, to their kids. My wife and I have the same core values. I'm going to give you an example. My wife listens to a lot of Tagalog music. She listens to some music that I like too. My wife, she's from a different country, from a different place, shares different beliefs. My wife's a Catholic. All right. She is a conservative Catholic. I'm conservative and I'm Jewish. All right. And my wife, and I'm pro-life, all kinds of, my wife is 1,000 times more conservative than I am. I promise you. My wife is queen conservative, plain and simple. All right. But our core values, for our little differences, and even some of our big differences, right? Our core values are the same. We believe in God, right? We believe in the education of our children, free from this horrible racist ideology. We believe in the wall. We believe in legal immigration. We believe in all of these things that have built our marriage stronger, that have brought us together as a team. And that's what a marriage is. It's a team. When CRT and woke people work together, they're not a team. They're just giving each other an advantage. It's like a business partnership. They don't share the same core values. They don't. And I can prove it. I can prove the CRT people don't share the same core values as the woke people and as the alphabet mafia, because Ibram Kendi, the king, the left's king of the CRT crowd, hates gay people. That's right. Ibram X. Kendi hates gay people. At least I think he hates gay people. I believe he hates gay people because I have an article right here from Ibram X. Kendi, who's horrified. He's absolutely horrified that his daughter came home from school and said, Daddy, imagine this. Imagine your daughter comes home from school and goes, Daddy, I want to be a man. Oh my God, that freaked him out. He's supposed to be the woke CRT king, but it just goes to show the truth. These are two separate things. You see, he can't get down. He can't get away from his cultural core values, his roots. All right. And the truth is, the real truth is that heterosexual parents, especially from traditional Black communities and traditional family units of all communities, do not like to accept homosexuality into their community and into their culture. It's true. It's true. I have so many friends from that community. I was in the military with so many people. So many have confirmed that. I've talked to so many people about that. And I know it to be true because I'm a 36-year-old man and I'm a father. And as much as I love my kids, I wouldn't be happy either. Would I disown my kids? Would I beat my kid? No. But we would try to do something about it. And in his own woke CRT way, Ibram X. Kendi says that after he was horrified, he's going to use affirmative messages about girlhood. What can he do to teach his daughter through the lens of CRT that being a woman is the right thing to do? Now that, my friends, that is in direct violation of woke doctrine. That is in direct violation of the rules and regulations and tablatures of the alphabet mafia and all of its glory. The rainbow mafia, if you will. I don't know. I like calling them that. Listen, Ibram Kendi doesn't like gay people. A lot of people don't like gay people. Do I like gay people? I'm indifferent about gay people. My theory in life is very simple. God's the judge. It's not my place to judge, but it's my place to protect my family, my culture, my children, right? Different cultures are a beautiful thing. We don't have to be one gray space alien of a people spread across this country. We can respect each other for our differences. Hey, you might be a good person. I might like you. You might be a gay person, a homosexual person. Do your thing over there, and I'll do my thing over here on my lawn. Just don't come force feed it to me. Don't shove it down my throat. No pun intended. It's the truth. And all of us feel that way. All of us just want to be happy and live our life. All of us, like they said in the closer, in the Dave Chappelle special, all of us are just having a human experience, aren't we? But it goes two ways, right? So if you don't want us attacking your community, if you don't want us hating your community, right? I don't mean physically attacking your community. I mean responding to your attacks to us, to white people too, not just Black people, to everybody, right? And it's not the LGBT community I'm talking about. I'm talking about a very specific community. There's the LGBT community, and then there's the alphabet mafia. Two very different things. If you really want to know more about it, you can email me, leave a comment down below, ask me about it. I can do a special on what the alphabet mafia actually is compared to the LGBT community. But the LGBT community, most of them, 99.9% of them, they're not jumping around doing backflips and hot neon pink in parades, wiggling their dongs around for 9-year-olds to see. No, they're living their life their own way in the privacy of their home. They could come out, they could be gay, and they do everything. It's 2021, right? It's not my business, not my problem. I'm not going to judge. But you can't literally take over all of the schools of thought. You can't literally come in and teach a way of life to my kids and say, this is the way you'll learn now, and your parents are garbage, and they aren't going to teach you the right way. Their way's trash, our way is the right way. No. This is the real world, and in the real world, there's 1,000 different right ways. There's 2 genders, and there's a lot of different ways that you can raise a kid. There's a lot of different ways you can have a family. But the right way, the only right way to raise a family is to raise your family. Right? Am I right? Not my family. Do you want them raising your kids? Or do you want to raise your kids? At the same token, is it your responsibility to raise their kids? No. So stay the heck off my lawn. Oh, that's what I have to say about that. By the way, Amani, Ibram Kendi's daughter, she's 5 years old. That's right. 5 years old, folks. She's 5 years old. A 5-year-old coming home saying that she wants to be a boy. And in how many places, how many woke parents would then be taking their 5-year-old on the way to the doctor to go start talking about their transition plans? You go find me. You go find me a black family from the black community that's going to do that. I'll be waiting here. I'll be waiting here. You go find me that family. Excuse me, I had to take a drink. You go find me that family. I don't think they exist. And if they do exist, they're a well-off, privileged, not black family from a traditional black community. Those are people that are woke. Those are the same folks that are in that upper-class, brainwashed echelon of people that have been made to feel guilty about their skin color, have been sold these lies, and are now being mobilized to do something about a problem that doesn't even exist. It's not an actual problem. It was created to destroy this country and turn it into a socialist hellhole. But hey, Kendi's a fake. They're all fake. Kendi's a racist. All of these critical race people, these BLM people, they're racists by the traditional definition of racism. Another socialist trick, change the definitions. CRT in general is racist. And so is woke. The whole woke movement, on the same token, it may not be racist per se, because it's not necessarily dealing with race. It's dealing with gender. They are genderist. They're sexist. They're sexist against traditional heterosexual male and female families. They don't want them. They want them all gone. If you don't believe our ideology, you must be smitten from the land. You must be destroyed. You must get on the train and take a special shower. Do you see where this leads, folks? Nowhere good. So I say let the woke people and the CRT people fight each other. Let's stand back and eat some popcorn and watch them destroy each other. Because the truth is that white people don't actually have privilege. Oh, I said it. It came out of my mouth. I really did say it. You heard me? White people don't have privilege in general. Black people don't have privilege. I'm doing the Jedi hand mind trick thing. These aren't the droids you're looking for. Black people, like it's going to actually affect somebody's thought process. I want to affect your thought process. Black people aren't privileged. White people aren't privileged. Latinos, Latinas, they're not privileged. Asian American, nobody is privileged. Well, somebody's privileged. I know who's privileged. Do you know who's privileged? Greggy? Yeah. Woof, Greggy, do you know who's privileged? Woke people. My friends, woke people are privileged. Critical race theory people, Ibram X. Kendi, is privileged. That leader of BLM, that Marxist woman that bought like 10 properties in Los Angeles, she's privileged. She's privileged. the alphabet mobsters, the radical alphabet mafia mobsters, these radical people that want to do violence to people, that want to harm people, all in the name of their Marxist cause under the fake banner of the LGBT community, when in truth, they're their own community. The alphabet mafia. They are the most privileged. They're the most privileged. Remember what Chappelle said? Don't stop or stop punching down. He said, stop punching down on the black community, to the trans community, the radical alphabet mafia community. He said this, and we're going to get to more of that. Don't worry. But our privilege, white privilege, all right? I've been to the trailer parks. I've lived in the projects. I've seen the majority of white people my entire life struggling to make ends meet. My own mother barely makes $16 an hour, and she is 63 years old. That is the most money she has ever made her entire life, and she lives in bright blue Broward County, South Florida, where all that money is supposed to be. Our privilege is make-believe. It's make-believe like Narnia is make-believe. It's make-believe like frickin' Hook in Never Never Land. All right? Maybe if we clap and we say we believe in fairies, all right, our communities will come alive. Maybe if we clap and we say that we believe in fairies, that we believe in Never Never Land, maybe the lost children will wake up and actually do some good, but they're not going to, because these CRT people, these woke people, they hate us. They hate us. How much more factoids, how much more information, how many more stats do I have to show you? I kind of put it right in your face, right there. There it is. Do you see this? Rutgers professor. I'm holding the slip up to the camera. White people are committed to being villains. We got to take these MFers out. They are literally calling for death to whitey. They're calling for the cleansing of a race. Nobody took the Germans seriously when they started doing that. Eventually, 6 million Jews died in the 1930s and 1940s. I know that analogy gets old. I know it gets old, but when there's no strong men, when there's no real patriots, when there's nobody left to protect our country, it will fall. People are weak. People are weak right now, and they need strong leaders. And the people that are stepping up, the people that run the show, the people that are celebrities, that are sports figures, they're no better. They're not helping. I mean, Shaq is helping. Irving, I believe his name is, the guy not taking the COVID mandate. I don't watch basketball. Maybe I should get into it, but I believe he's helping. There are a few people. Ice Cube's helping. What's the other? Dave Chappelle. There's all kinds of people helping. But these radical Marxists, they're not helping. You know, these people that are spouting this idea, all right, of privilege, they're not helping. They're just creating division. They're just creating division. So we need to take a look. We need to take a look at where the real privilege is. All right, I want to give you an example or two of the real privilege, and the best place to start. One of the best places to start. I'm going to start with a high and a low. The first place to start to tell you about what real privilege looks like is this guy right here. Big afro, Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick, they put him in this black shirt and they cut his beard up all night. They want to make him look like the artiste. But he doesn't look like an artist. He looks like an idiot. He compared the NFL combine process to slave auctions. Yes, my friend, the voluntary process that could make you a multi-millionaire. It's not fair, because the slaves back in the day, they were made into multi-millionaires too, right? That's what happened. No, you're privileged. You're privileged. You're a product. You're subservient. You're an actual slave. You're mad at something that's not real, Colin. You're making up a story. You're mad because life's hard. You're mad because life's not fair, except you think life's hard for you. You think life's not fair for you. Let me ask you a question, my friend. How are your bills doing? How's your mortgage? Are you renting? How's your rent? Have you had to cut back on anything? How many cars do you own? Do you drive a new car? When was the last time you had a steak? Colin Kaepernick eats steak every single night. Colin Kaepernick owns mansions. Colin Kaepernick owns dozens of cars. Colin Kaepernick sleeps with beautiful women and laces himself with diamonds and jewels because life's hard, because life's not fair. Remember, this guy's a role model for your kids. This guy is a role model for your kids. And if you don't believe me, I have a little story for you. All right. And this was a couple weeks. This wasn't on the weekend, during Halloween and stuff, but this is like a week or two before that. And I was at one of my best friends, Drew's house. All right. And we were doing a little barbecue, smoking cigars, having some scotch. Was it scotch? I think it was scotch, either scotch or some sort of brandy, something that he had whipped out. And we were having a little sip. I don't drink. I barely ever drink. All right. And so I'm sipping it and I'm like, take a little sip. Every time I take a sip, making that whiskey face while he's laughing at me, right? I didn't, trust me, I didn't even have a shot's worth, and we were there for hours. But I did smoke some good cigars. We had a good time. We ate some dinner. But later on, I was in the kitchen with his daughter. He's got a 10-year-old daughter. I've known her forever. Like I said, this is my friend I've known for 30 years, right? So I'm her godfather. I've known his daughter since she was born, right? So obviously we have a relationship there. And she was telling me how excited she was. She was telling me about her Halloween costume. She was telling me who she was going to be for Halloween. I said, what are you going to be? Are you going to be Batgirl? Are you going to be, I know that people like those Descendants movies, and there's all kinds of things that kids want to be. When I was a kid, it was Power Rangers. It was Sailor Moon. Who knows, right? But she surprised me because she said something very adult for a 10-year-old. She first said, I want to tell you what I want to be for Halloween, but I'm embarrassed. And I was confused why she would be embarrassed until I realized what she had to tell me, and that people maybe had not taken her seriously, or maybe didn't explain to her certain things, or who knows. I'm not saying that it's her parents, because it's not. But it's coming from the schools, the insecurity, the way that she's thinking about certain things. That's coming from how they're taught in school. She's a white girl and she's being taught certain things. She told me that for Halloween, she was going to be her favorite YouTube star. Do you know how you know that YouTube has influence over your kids? It's as simple as seeing a 10-year-old dress up as some dumb kid, as some YouTube star for Halloween. That's the celebrities now. These are the people that influence our kids. All right. I said before, Colin Kaepernick, he's a role model for our kids. YouTube stars are a role model for our kids. And this is one of them. All right. This is one of them. I want you to see this picture. Look at this kid, this 18-year-old kid, neck tattoos. All right. Black kid, social media star, arrested after triggering high-speed chase. All right. And there was some interesting stuff about this. The guy's name is Damari Makula. He's 18, and he was arrested Friday running a stoplight, leading the Florida Highway Patrol on 100-mile-an-hour chase. But what he said, really got my attention, and you should hear it too. He said that he's young. This is when the cops caught him. He said he's young, makes a lot of money, and can do what he wants. This is an 18-year-old. This 18-year-old reportedly makes between $400,000 and $500,000 a year, more money than you or I have ever seen in our lives. He makes all of this money, and because of that, he believes that he can do whatever he wants. Back on the subject we were talking about, that, my friend, that's privilege. That's real privilege, and that's not a white guy. But that's not a black guy either. All right. That's a privileged, woke person. It's a privileged, product of this generation, this social media generation, this world that's so unrecognizable to us, to me, to you, to all of us. It's literally like the Twilight Zone. This kid's full of neck tattoos, right? Back in my day, neck tattoos meant something, right? They meant something. I had tattoos when I was like 15 years old. I didn't come from a great family background. I didn't. All right. But I was the only kid in school. I was the only kid in town. I was the only 15-year-old with tattoos. Right. Right. And nobody arrested my family. Nobody put me in juvie or put me anywhere for child abuse. No, I was left to my father's devices. That's not very privileged. It doesn't feel very privileged, you know, but neck tattoos, they didn't mean privilege back in the day. They meant you were hard. They meant something, right? Running from the cops meant something back in the day. Being hard, having the reputation of being a hard ass, having the reputation of being somebody that could run from the cops and get away with it. That was earned. Your street cred, your respect, it was earned. It was earned. Some folks blood in, blood out. Some folks in gangs. Some folks just by living the hard knock life and building the reputation. But if you survived the streets, you earned your reputation. This is a little rich, privileged boy. And he hasn't learned a thing. Damari Makula is an example of white privilege, of real privilege, right? Not actual white privilege, this stuff that doesn't really exist, but actual privilege, the privileged of the privileged, $400,000 to $500,000 a year, running from the cops, careless, doesn't care, throwing caution to the wind. Could have hit a kid, could have hit my car and killed my baby in the back in her car seat. Makula does not know he's privileged. He's too dumb to realize it. He's too dumb to realize it. And a lot of these folks are. There's YouTube celebrities everywhere. How many of them actually deserve what they have? How many people deserve? Look at Ice Cube. Look at Dave Chappelle. They've earned their way. They put in the blood, the sweat, the tears. They busted their humps for years to be where they are. Ice Cube was singing songs about actual hard life in the hood for him. Right? Dave Chappelle worked comedy clubs since what? I think he was 15, 16 years old, some kind of ridiculously young age, right? Again and again, thousands and thousands and millions maybe before he got good at his craft. These kids make a viral video and then they think they're God. You know, that thing that the left doesn't believe in. You know, look at Ice Cube back in the 90s. You know, back in the 90s, making those songs. I didn't have to use my AK. Today is a good day. Think about that. Think about that. He didn't want to use violence. Yeah, he had some songs about the police and some songs that had some pretty nasty things in it. But this is a product of a pretty nasty childhood. The hard knock life, the real hard knock life. Things that most of these YouTube celebrities and these internet gurus, they don't know a thing about. Look at Dave Chappelle. Somebody who's lived hard, worked hard, and made beautiful contributions to this world. We may not always see eye to eye. He may be a little more on the left, but he's a sensible guy. He's willing to meet people in the middle. And he was canceled. He's canceled by the radical alphabet mafia. He literally put this great special out. I listened to his special because I kind of got off it for a bit when he went off about the vaccines and all that stuff months and months ago. But then when he was starting to get attacked, he started seeing the truth. He realized that the transgender folks, the radical alphabet mafia, they were punching down on the actual black community, the black community that includes people like Dave Chappelle, like Ice Cube, like Snoop Dogg, like all these rappers that came up hard and appreciate what success has brought them. But these younger folks, these new people, they don't appreciate that. They don't appreciate that. Look, transgender people, they're actually suing Netflix. I've got this thing here. It says transgender Netflix employees sue the company over alleged retaliation stemming from the Chappelle controversy. They've literally filed labor complaints against Netflix. All right. The lawsuit was filed Wednesday with the National Labor Relations Board. It claims that this employee, they identify as non-binary, had her employment terminated by Netflix under false and pretextual reasons. All right. She organized a walkout at the company headquarters earlier this month. She caused a problem. By the way, just to explain it again, I had to explain this to my mom the other day. Non-binary means that this person, this woman, I guess it's a woman, Paggles Minor. How do you even, oh my gosh. They identify as non-binary, and non-binary basically means they don't identify as a man or a woman. Remember when we were talking about that horrible, horrible boy rapist that's in jail now that got the girl in Loudoun County, the 15-year-old. Horrible, horrible story. But we were talking about him, and he identifies as gender fluid, meaning 1 minute he's a girl, 1 minute he's a boy. And this person, they identify as neither a boy or a girl. Hi, my name's James Lane, and I'm a lobster. I'm sorry. I had to. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it shows that Netflix stood up for itself, right? It says they put out a statement. We recognize the hurt and pain caused to our trans colleagues. They also said, but we want to make clear Netflix didn't take any action against employees for speaking up or walking out. They're trying to play the middle ground. Don't get too excited. They didn't really defend any free speech or anything like that. They're defending their pocketbooks. Remember who runs Netflix. Remember who's an executive producer on tons of content, on Netflix. Obama. That's right. Obama. Obama and Obama. Which one's a man? Which one's a woman? Well, we know one of them might be a man, but we know both of them might be a man. Listen, Ice Cube as well. I want to talk about Ice Cube for a second. Ice Cube just dropped out of a movie because he didn't want to get vaccinated. You want to talk about putting your money where your mouth is, right? It says that Ice Cube quit a movie because, and this is a movie with Jack Black, right? Tenacious D, Jumanji, The School of Rock, Jack Black, you know, Jack Black. What was it, $9 million? He said, nope, tossed $9 million in the toilet, said, I don't want that money. I'm not getting vaccinated. Black community doesn't want to get vaccinated. A lot of folks don't. They don't know. They don't trust. A lot of people in the white community, a lot of people in minority communities, people across the country don't necessarily want to get vaccinated. They don't necessarily want to get vaccinated because they don't know what the long-term risks are. And if they've determined for themselves that that's their prerogative, this is a free country, and they should be respected. They should be respected, but that doesn't fit in with CRT, with the woke world, with nothing. Traditional Black people, traditional Black families, traditional Black communities, traditional white families, white communities, traditional Latino, Latina community, all of it. Traditional communities in general that aren't following either the woke alphabet mafia's baton in their parade, or not following, drinking the special Kool-Aid of the Ibermex Kendis of the world, that all white people are racist. All right. If you're not touting those banners, those evil racist banners, if you're not being a hateful, hurtful person, whether you're Black, white, purple, whether you're a Native American, whether you're from Indonesia, or whether you just dug your way out of the ground and you're a mole person from down there in the tunnels. They're going to look at you and they're going to point at you. Remember, it doesn't matter your skin color. And they're going to say, white privilege. And you're going to go, what, dog? I'm Black, yo. And they're going to go, white devil. What you talking about, bro? I'm Black. Why burn the white witch? Burn him. What you talking about? Burn me. What the Seriously, I almost slipped there, by the way. I'm trying to not curse because I really want to get on the radio. Do you like that? I've had one slip this entire episode. I said the A word one time, trying to get on the radio. I almost said the F word, but it turned into a right out of my mouth. Remember, you don't want to do the knock-knock joke. You don't want to see the fork at the door. But remember what I told you earlier about my marriage with my wife. We share core values, something that the woke left and the CRT left doesn't do. They don't share core values. They may have the same general motor in the car, but they both have different destinations. But these traditional communities, the Black community, the Latino community, the hard workers of this country, Americans through and through, beautiful cultures across this country that we can all learn from, different beautiful skin colors across this great country that just want to have a family, that just want to believe in God, that want to live their own life. They share our core values. The black community and then the white community, okay? The real black community and the real white community. They believe in God. They believe in God for their children and for their homes. They believe in family. They believe the parents have the say in what their kids learn. They believe in regular family dynamics, nuclear family dynamics, mother, father, children. All right? They believe in freedom, freedom to do what they want, freedom to live their life on their property the way they choose, freedom, the freedom to make their money and live their life. We share that. We share that together. That's what we need to unite over, folks. We need to unite the conservative right. And this is a point. This is a big point that I'm trying to make. We need to unite the conservative right, the entirety, the full spectrum of the right, with the core traditional Black, Latino, and minority communities, because we're so similar, because we share the same core values, because we love freedom and we love this country, period.